What's up, everybody? This is Chris Martinez from Dynamic Duo Training.
And this is Eric Martinez.
Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about the hierarchy of cardio, okay? With cardio, it just seems like a lot of people just think it's kind of like you get on a bike or a piece of cardio equipment, or you just go out and do sprints or whatever and just kind of call it a day for cardio. You know, I think a lot of people don't look at the bigger picture, you know, within cardio, and it needs to be strategically and intelligently planned inside somebody's, around somebody's training protocol and around their goals. And there's a lot of other stuff that really needs to go into it. And I think a lot of people overlook that. I think they just really just kind of tend to drift off on, cardio is just, there by itself. It doesn't really matter as long as you get it in and burn some calories and then head home, So with us, I know we always kind of look into things a little bit more depth. We kind of look at the science behind things, how to implement these things the right way around training, because we always put training, at the top of the list. So we're always trying to figure out, how can we make cardio, a little bit more fun for clients, make it more specific, have it not interfere with their training, and everything else just goes in with the goals, So we're going to talk about, what we think the hierarchy of cardio is, okay? And we're going to just give some examples, and then we'll just see where this video leads into, all right? Okay, so number one, whenever you start off with cardio, okay, you want to think about your goals, okay? You kind of want to think about, do you really need to use cardio, okay? You may be in a position to where you might not need cardio. If you want to lose body fat, you may not need to use cardio right away. You could use it as a tool later on to add in, that's an option right there. Another thing is, what is your time frame of your goal? If you're competing, or you're going on a vacation, or you have a photo shoot, in X amount of weeks, you obviously have a time frame and a limit that you have to really press against, as far as being in that shape. So you might need to add cardio in right away, to get the ball rolling with things and get a little bit more aggressive with fat loss, right? So another thing you got to understand is too, like, what phase of a goal are you in? Are you in, a fat loss phase? Are you in a calorie surplus where you're trying to do like a lean mass gain phase? Are you in a maintenance phase? So you got to understand that. Are you a bodybuilder? Well, I'll talk about that a little more specificity. But yeah, you got to figure out what kind of goals and stage and phases that you're in right now, and even understand if you need to use cardio. Okay. And then you talking about specificity.
No, that's you.
Okay, so with specificity too, it kind of goes a little bit hand in hand with goals. Okay, so what I was kind of touching up on earlier. So it depends. Like, are you a bodybuilder? Are you a power lifter? Are you an endurance athlete? Are you someone that just kind of wants to just like look good naked, look good on the beach? Okay, so that really plays in with cardio, because we feel that, like, for example, if you're a bodybuilder, you want to be a little bit more specific towards bodybuilding, right? So why not maybe add in a barbell complex, or maybe like a metabolic circuit, right? Kind of circuit type training, to be a little bit more specific towards, bodybuilding, lifting more weights at a faster pace, right? What if you're a power lifter? You might want to just do those barbell complexes too, just because it's more specific to, the main lifts and stuff like that. You're just lifting at a lower intensity, but a higher, a higher speed, right? If you're an endurance athlete, I mean, you got to train specifically for that and do certain, modalities for that, depending on the goal and everything like that, So that's where we feel that, the principle of specificity plays a huge role with cardio. We'd never overlook this aspect whenever we program cardio, okay?
And I guess up next is personal preference. And this is something that we are huge on, when it comes to ourselves and our clients, programs and everything that we put together for them. Because at the end of the day, when we look at personal preference in this regard for cardio, we're looking at what's going to get you fired up, to actually go do cardio and, do it on a day-to-day basis. Because if you just have someone doing, let's say, for example, sprints every day, but they don't enjoy it, and it's just they really dread it, I mean, what are the chances that person's going to go really hard and 100% on that, on that cardio modality? So personal preference is huge, okay? So I'll talk about two different classifications of cardio. So number one is going to be, the one that's like the bread and butter, HIIT cardio, high intensity interval training. So, there's numerous studies just showing that, this is like, the top tier cardio method, because it activates fat burning enzymes. You get the 24-hour, EPOC effect, where you're burning fat, in the 24-hour energy expenditure. You get more bang for your buck pretty much because you do it in less time. Okay, and then you have the other one, which is LIST cardio, low intensity steady state cardio. Pretty much just calories in, calories out. Just very modest and just low pace intensity. So it really just depends on what your personal preference is when it comes to this. So you really just have to figure that out. And another one that we've just recently implemented with different clients is called a barbell complex. Okay, because we're huge believers that you don't have to sit there and do cardio on a machine, okay? And you don't have to sit there and pull a sled, push a car, and do all those, high impact, cardio modalities. You can do what's called a barbell complex. And, in a nutshell, that's pretty much kind of like a hybrid method using a barbell, okay? So you'd use like about 40 to 60% of your 1 rep max in weight. And you could even use like a fixed bar for this at a gym, and you do some, overhead presses, some squats, some rows, some deadlifts, some RDLs, and you would just do all those within, like whatever how much time you want to do, and then do interval bursts with them. Okay, so personal preference is huge when it comes to cardio. Okay, and the last bullet point we're going to talk about is the interference effect. This is huge. Okay, and it goes back to the goals, specificity, and personal preference all in one. So I'll talk about a little bit. On you just kind of have to be smart when it comes to choosing the right cardio modality. So let's say you're doing HIIT cardio and you just really enjoy doing HIIT cardio. You love the high intensity interval aspect of it and just going balls to wall. Okay, but at the same time you're doing resistance training 4 to 5 days per week. Okay, and specifically you're doing like squats, deads, bench press. So you're already taxing your nervous system doing that. So by you doing like a modality, say pulling sleds or pushing a car, that's going to be very, very taxing on your CNS system, okay? And that might potentially hinder overall, recovery from your strength training or progress going forward, okay? So when I tell you guys that you guys have to be aware of the interference effect, you just have to really be aware of, how your body's going to recover and what modality is the smartest way for you to, go about it and stay healthy for the long run, okay?
Yeah, and then like with the interference effect, there's some really good research on this as well, showing that there is an actual interference effect. The one that comes to mind with us is the one that was done by the University of Tampa, Jacob Wilson's lab. So what they showed was, they compared, I think, a cycling bike with, somebody running on a treadmill, I think, and the person running on the treadmill caused more muscle damage in their legs, so it left them like more sore, the next couple of days. So that interfered with their training. Okay, they ended up doing less volume in their training because they're too sore. As opposed to the bike, they weren't as sore. It didn't create as much muscle damage, so they were able to do more overall volume throughout a week in a month's course, right? So that's what we mean. You got to be, kind of strategic with this. You got to periodize your cardio some way and maybe do a modality where it kind of mimics more of your specificity, right? So if you're a bodybuilder, maybe do the bike because, it kind of mimics
low impact.
It's low impact. It mimics the biomechanics of a leg press and a squat or a lunge, right? As opposed to running, it doesn't really mimic anything, right? It causes a lot of muscle damage, and it's going to leave you sore for days, and you're just not going to have an effective training, throughout the week. So that's what I mean. You got to be strategic about it. And then if you're prepping, or if you have a timetable or a time frame that you got to be ready in, you're taking a risk of doing these higher impact, cardio bouts as far as like sprinting or pushing sleds or cars, and you're risking like an injury, a hamstring pull or something like that, and that's going to set you back, and you're not going to be able to be in shape or in contest stage presence for that time, okay? So that's pretty much everything that we have on the hierarchy of cardio. If you guys have any more questions, please reach out to us on our social media outlets. Email us at dynamicduotraining@gmail.com. And if you guys need us to program a properly periodized cardio program around your training program, your nutrition program and stuff like that, please reach out to us. We'll be more than willing to do that, okay? Other than that, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, everything like that, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.